This
on the
conference
minutes.
will now be recorded.
Sorry,
All right,
thank you. So we're just at the stage of approving the minutes from the prior meeting. So if I can have a motion to approve those two board meeting minutes. So very smoothly, if I could have a second.
Second.
Either Marilyn or Pat seconded there.
So moved.
Is there any questions on those board meeting minutes?
Nope.
If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Okay, that takes us on to the management report, and I'll hand it over to Stephanie to give us a report from the management company.
Thank you, Neil. So this management report is reporting on March of 2023. First, we can talk about delinquencies. As of March 31st, the total amount that we were over 90 days was 64,000, which is an improvement from the end of February where it was almost 71,000. We closed on 2 homes in the month of March. And for our 24-hour customer care center, we received 47 inquiries from homeowners. 47 of those were 47 was total, and 11 of those were escalated to on-site management. This has been a vast improvement since the December-January timeframe when we were receiving close to 300 inquiries a month. So getting it down to 47 is wonderful. For the month of March, we had 166 work orders opened, and we closed 130 work orders. And to date, at this time, we have 36 work orders that are currently open. For violations for the month of March, we issued 207 violations. 108 violations were closed. And we currently have open 135 violations. Those are ones that were just issued at the very end of March who have not gone through their follow-up yet. For architectural review, we had 2 meetings during the month of March, on March 7th and March 21st. We processed 29 ARC applications, with 13 of them being approved, 12 of them being conditionally approved, and 4 that were denied. To touch on some landscaping and just operational items, the community-wide annual mulching was completed. They are doing some finishing touches around the community, but the bulk of the project is completed. At this time, we are in the growing season, which is from April to October, so that means that mowing on the lots will happen once a week, with trimming of and pruning of bushes happening on a monthly rotation. United's work order system was temporarily having an issue where it was not sending email correspondence to the homeowners. Our landscaping manager, Carrie, is very thorough on following up with our homeowners, and we started getting complaints that it wasn't happening. So we looked into it, and it was the work order system was not sending her communications out, but that has since been resolved. Other items, we had various HVAC companies come out to provide us with air duct cleaning proposals. We had new fans installed in the gym area. We had plumbers come on site to give a proposal for the installation of new wax rings on all of our toilets in the plaza, which you'll see that proposal on this agenda. All of the carpets and upholstery were deep cleaned here in the plaza. This is going to be done on either a quarterly or a biannual basis moving forward. We had an issue with the Oak Room air conditioner where it was not cooling. We had Dell Air come on site, and they had to flush the drain line. It is working correctly now. And we also had several HVAC companies come and provide preventative maintenance proposals for HVAC maintenance, but we are still waiting on those proposals to come to us. We had 3 instances throughout the month of March where Toho Water shut off the reclaimed water in the community, meaning that homeowners did not have any irrigation. The first instance that it happened, it was out for 3 days, and then which is when we sent communication out to the community about it. However, we had 2 other instances where it was down for less than 12 hours on non-watering days, so it really had no impact on us. The North Pool Gate was the spring on the gate was broken and that was replaced. And we had a door handle that we replaced here at the plaza. So little things here and there. But other than that, that's it.
Okay, thanks, Stephanie. And we also have a new employee. You mentioned about all of the violations. We have somebody who is
Yes.
with us part-time, 3 days a week.
Yes, thank you. I did forget to mention that. We brought on Jasmine Rojas, who is another community manager. We brought her on part-time for 20 hours a week, and she will be working in the position of a compliance coordinator, focusing on strictly violations and ARC compliance, follow-up on completed projects and whatnot.
Right.
So she'll be here on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie. That takes me on to the committee reports. I'll start with the ARC report. Gary, if you could give us an update.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to report. The committee still needs a volunteer. We are operating at less than our authorized capacity. Our last 3 meetings, we have had a minimum number of present for a quorum. Our next meeting scheduled for April 18th, we will not have a quorum in order to conduct the meeting. So we're in the process of rescheduling that meeting probably for April 25th. We desperately need an additional community member to volunteer to serve on the committee. Otherwise, I hope you have received the first quarter report from the ARC. If you have any specific questions about that report, I can try to answer them. Otherwise, that's the extent of my verbal report.
Okay, thank you, Gary. Just to echo Gary's comments, we are always looking for committee members. So, and I know Stephanie sends out on her Friday notice to the community in case it finds people that there are vacancies. So, the ARC is a very crucial committee for us to have representation on, because they're deciding on how people can develop their properties outside of the 4 walls that they live in. So it's crucial that we have people attending those meetings and volunteering for that membership. So encourage you to think about that, please.
Neil, I have a question.
Yes.
In order to make a quorum, could one of us show up?
No, because we're not a committee member. Unfortunately, I do tend to go where I can to the ARC meetings, but we're not an official committee member, so we're only a liaison. Okay, legal committee. We had our legal committee meeting last week. We talked about a number of topics. I'll go through a couple of them. I won't bore you with all of them. We talked about the engineering study and the 558 notice, which is the notice that we send to the developer on the construction defects that we've identified and that the engineering study has identified. Including in that report is also a statement we've received from Southern Roofing with regards to their view of the construction defects within the villas about their roofing. So we're including that in the 558 notice that will be sent to the developer. We're hoping to get it out this week. So that's part of the overall concerns and legal process to have Lennar take responsibility for the construction defects that we have within the community. Are you pointing to me? Sorry, I didn't have my glasses on, so I couldn't tell whether you're pointing to me, Derek. No. Okay. Collections policy. Lennar also has a significant outstanding assessments, which First Services have written to them and asked them for settlement of that. This is separate from the 558 notice. This is where they are delinquent on their assessments. So we've asked them to settle that. That's in a sum of $40,000, so it's not insignificant. So that's something we've sent to them. We've not heard back from them. There is a number of declaration changes that we're working through. One is about, and I've mentioned this before, about felonies living in the community, which has no restrictions currently within our declaration. So we're working with our attorney to see what needs to be done to change that. In terms of a compliance bond for the ARC, so where people have major construction of pools, etc., on their property, do we need to have them give us a compliance bond, a bond that gives us guarantees that they will repair the common land, the community land, as their pool construction companies build their pool. We've had some issues where that hasn't been repaired to the standards it should be. And then obviously there's the Fifth Amendment relating to the villas. The villa subcommittee is meeting in, I think, a couple of weeks' time to start to look at that in terms of what their views are on that Fifth Amendment and should there be any changes. So all of that was discussed at the legal committee as well. And then the last major thing I think I wanted to mention is the down to earth contract that we ceased to have in place from December 31st. There is an outstanding invoices, or several outstanding invoices from Down to Earth totaling $130,000 for work they claim to have been done in December and in prior months in 2022. We are disputing that. We have our attorney disputing that because we don't believe they did any work in December, and yet they sent us an invoice of just short of $90,000 for that particular month. And then there are irrigation repairs that they're claiming they did, totaling the other kind of $40,000 plus some additional fuel charges, etc. So we're disputing that. We've made, on the advice of our attorney, we've made a settlement check of $30,000, which we think is justifiable. So there's still $100,000 that we've not settled, and we don't believe, that we should settle it. So the attorneys will be discussing between themselves, their attorney and our attorney, on Thursday this week to see what the next steps are. So that,
let me add real quick to that.
Pat, because Pat's done an awful lot of work on this.
Yeah, I'm working with the attorney on this. If anybody, obviously in the room, online, or talks to anybody, any of the neighbors, and has photos or any emails they may have sent during the month of November, December, as to Down to Earth's lack of performance or not even showing up at all, they can send them directly to FSR.
Especially any work orders that they entered into Down to Earth's work order system.
Right.
We don't have access to that.
Yeah, work orders that were entered into the Down to Earth system that were just kind of left by the wayside once they left. Any evidence that we can take to the attorney to support, our argument and our dispute with them is going to help us tremendously should it get to that point. So, but the more evidence we have today, which is really at the early part of the, the litigation, we're not even in litigation yet, but should we get there, we want to have everything in line before we go to that point, so we know we have a strong case. So,
thanks, Pat. Yep, that's great.
So
Okay,
that should go to Stephanie then, and maybe in the header in the email saying regarding Down to Earth or something like that, so she knows what it relates to.
Yeah.
With her.
right, yeah, like Marilyn, I remember you sending me or us a picture of your sons or something visiting around Christmas, and the grass was up to their shins. Anything like that will help us.
Yeah, even importantly, I kind of whispered this, but if you have any copies of work orders that you wrote in Down to Earth's work order system, those would be helpful as well, because we don't have access to that system. So if you did enter any work orders in their system and you can forward those to me, that would also be very helpful.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
You should send out an email to the community on what probably people don't know.
Yeah, I think what we want to do is we want to talk to the attorney one more time on Wednesday and get her direction.
I think we've got to be a little sensitive about what we send out in terms of what evidence we have, because that can be, they can come in and ask us for all of it. So we send emails out saying, hey, can you all send in what evidence you have? That could be held against us going forward. So we have to be a little sensitive because we've told them that we've got concrete evidence, which we do have. It's just a case of pulling it all together. So I hear what you're saying. If we can do it by word of mouth, it would be nothing to send in writing. Okay, finance.
Thanks, Neil. Finance Committee met March 21st for the first time in probably 6 or 8 months. Talked about a bunch of upcoming activities. Surprisingly or not surprisingly, we're only a couple months away from the start of the budget process. And that's probably our biggest chunk of work. Put together the 2024 budget. It'll start early June and probably run till October timeframe when we present out to the community. The turnover audit has been finalized, so our auditor sent the final package to us, which we forwarded on to our attorney for part of the 558 filing. And the year-end audit is starting this week. So that will get underway and hopefully get through that fairly quickly. And then we'll have our final 2022 year-end numbers to put out there for the community. And I think that's it, Neil.
Okay, thanks, Alan. Megan, activities? Do you want to come up to the mic, Megan, please?
I know, you love to.
I'm sorry. It's just then people on the phone, they can hear you.
No problem. So activities, the garage sale went off really well as opposed to what we had in the past. The gates was not an issue. Yay, Terry. We gave Terry some flyers to hand out.
Gate guard Terry.
So the garage sale was a huge success from what I've heard. We had Easter Saturday at the North Pool, which was not as successful as we were hoping it would be. So we have some new ideas to move the location. I know that Event Group is what Nicole is using now for people to RSVP, pay for events. Like, that's been a helpful tool, but not everyone is utilizing it. So we had way more in attendance than what she planned, but we'll get there. It's still a new tool. Event Groove, we have yoga, about 32 residents that are signing up for yoga. And Nicole's contacting a private yoga instructor to see if we can get the rates down and adjust the schedule a little to accommodate for a lower price point and just a little bit better experience for our residents. We have upcoming on a Cinco de Mayo event plan. So Nicole secured a sponsor for a mariachi band, and we'll have those details out here soon. That's it.
Very good. Thank you, Megan.
Yep. I'll touch on a couple of things real quick with the Easter egg hunt. FSR, they had all hands on deck. But like I said, we didn't expect that many people to actually show up. The ice cream truck guy never showed up either, so that was an issue. We'll never call him back, I promise you that. And it was a hot day, and we probably should have, did like 0 to 2 year olds, and then 3 to 5, and then 6 to 10. Should have did it in a little bit different, a little more organized, so we didn't have the older kids, over the younger kids and everything like that. So, like I said, next year we're looking probably, if we can, do it at the golf course, maybe get a bouncy house, a snow cone machine or somebody there. So we got a lot of great ideas for that next year. The community's growing. We really don't know how many people we have in this community until we start doing these things, and it's quite amazing. Shout out to the pickleball junkies. I'm telling you, if there's ever a move, this is it. So they've been doing their beginner clinics. They've had 35 individuals show up for the clinics, and having 3 courts out there, it's starting to get a little busy out there in the morning time, being in Florida and everything. So I know there's a master HOA board meeting tomorrow. Some of the pickleballers are going to find out what's going on with the tennis courts down by the golf course, because the HOA does own those tennis courts. and we were told you could take a tennis court and break it into several pickleball courts. And one thing that they've noticed too, they're actually working on a new fence out here in front of the plaza for a little security, because they're catching people from the retreat on our pickleball courts. So they started looking deeper into it, and people in the retreat really probably don't know too better, obviously, to read a sign that says residents only. However, they've noticed they went on a couple of VRBO and Airbnb sites, and they actually advertised that you could play pickleball while renting a place in the retreat. So they're assuming there's no pickleball courts down this golf course, so they see pickleball courts. They're like, oh, they have pickleball courts, let's go check them out. So Matt and the gang, they're working on getting a higher fence. I think the fence there's like 3.5, 4 feet right there. We want to raise it to at least 6 to 8 feet, put a new door on it. I know we have a little makeshift sign there now, but a new sign with the new rules, with a new lock moving forward. So we did have ideas of maybe possibly this is future, couple-year plan, but getting rid of the putting green out there and adding some more pickleball courts. But let's see what happens at the master board, just so we can get a little gauge on that. For the communication side, everything's going well. We submitted our order for the community boards. They're actually done. They were supposed to be black initially, but they're going to be like a weathered gray color. That was the next best color we can get. So those will be in the mail this week. So they're supposed to send us a tracking number here shortly. So we'll have that, and hopefully we'll get it up by the North Pool and K-Track and Fallen Oak. So when people go to get their mail, they're able to see what's going on within the community. So other than that, I think we are good. Oh, our next activities meeting and communications meeting is always the third Wednesday of the month. Activities is at 5 p.m. Communications is at 6 p.m. and that's on the 19th. And then just to let everybody know, we're going to be creating a F&B committee, food and beverage committee. We don't know exactly how the logistics, if it's going to be part of the activities committee or not, but we do have 7 applications right now for that committee, and they're going to help the plaza and the golf course and everything, get everything good. So if you guys are interested in being in that committee, please submit your applications. We're here, we've got your back, and we're very proud of everybody.
Thank you, Terry. Marilyn, are you going to talk about the villas? Karen, I don't think Karen's here. No?
Not a lot to report on the villas. We're working through the logistics on Amendment 5. We're working through logistics on the roof repairs that need to be done. So it continues to be a work in progress, but in order for the Villa Subcommittee to do their due diligence and some of the background work, make sure we're clear on what the residents want, it's going to be important to have the town hall that's scheduled, maybe even move that up sooner than I think the beginning of May. But we'll need to have town hall, probably a survey, and then a debrief town hall before we get to what their recommendations are for Amendment 5.
Okay. I saw there was a message.
Is Kathy there? I can't see.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm here.
Don't know if I missed anything else.
I don't think so. I think you pretty well covered it. I did wonder about the roof repairs. It looks like they started them, but I haven't seen them continuing work.
They're still ongoing. I mean, we've received follow-up from them on Friday that it's still continuing on. So they should be completed with everything within the next 2 to 3 weeks.
I saw them work like Monday, but then I didn't see them.
They were here on Friday, for sure. So, but they said 2 to 3 weeks, everything should be done.
2 to 3 weeks. Okay, that's for the roof repairs at the villas. I saw a question around the master board meeting. Is there a link? There was an email that came out on Friday at 6:30, which has the link for joining the meeting remotely. Stephanie, I don't know if we can post that out for people, or if we can put the link on.
If you can send it to me, because I don't think I get that communication.
Oh, you don't get that? Of course you don't. I'll send it to you, and then you can send it out maybe later to the community. And that has the link to the meeting. Okay, that was Villas facilities. Peters doesn't seem to be on, Pat, so
I don't see, I'll take
down
it.
to you.
Stephanie and Neil talked a lot about the down to earth issue. The United Mulch is 99% complete. I would urge anybody that feels like they need a little extra special care to maybe put a work order in. Stephanie and I drove through a couple weeks ago, addressed a couple of different areas that we think need some help, so they're still looking at that. So, but again, if anybody else at their personal residence really thinks they need some extra special attention, feel free to put a work order in. I have noticed in my section in Country Club that some of the homeowners are replacing some of the dead palms. United's done every one that I've seen, so obviously if you have dead palm at your house, probably get to it before the finding committee gets to you. I think that United's probably given pretty competitive rates on
They
those.
have, yeah.
Okay, yeah, so, other than that, the next big project that we're dealing with in the facilities is the point of sale system. All 3 bids are in, and I know that I believe Peter and the whole group are going through them next week. They do the interview process, kind of like we did for United for the landscaping. So we make sure we dot all our I's and cross all our T's before we decide who we're going to go with. So I think that's it.
Thanks, Pat. I don't see Terry.
Terry Siren's on here.
Oh, Terry, you are on. Terry Siron. Governance Committee. Update.
Terry, unmute yourself.
Terry, you're on mute. You're still on mute.
Might be sleeping.
All right.
I mean, I can touch on it a bit. If
Go ahead.
So like I mentioned, during the month of March, we issued 207 violations. We had a hearing, our first hearing on the very beginning of April. Oh, he's here now. Go ahead, Terry.
Terry, you're on.
Okay, I get in my phone, set it out. We had a meeting last week, homeowners. One thing that's been consistent with people is they are ignoring.
Yeah, Terry, you're breaking up.
Okay.
Stephanie wants to take it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, Stephanie, maybe.
Terry, we'll have Stephanie take care of it.
Sure.
Yeah, Stephanie, why don't you take care of it?
Okay. Oh, there he is.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
That's better, Terry.
Okay. Yeah, my phone was acting up. I would encourage people when they get the warning letters to respond to them. Typically, what we're seeing is people get the first 2 warning letters, do not respond to them. Then when they get the hearing letter, they seem to be upset. You're given more than enough time to correct the issue or contact the management company to get things straightened out. And it's far better that you contact them early on with the issue before it gets to our committee, because once it gets to us, you've had several days and you have ignored things, and that doesn't bode well. So I want to encourage everyone, if you get a warning letter, to respond to it accordingly. We're going to have a meeting later this month with Stephanie and Jasmine to go over where we are with stuff. They're a lot more aggressive now that they've had some time to get the feet on the ground. So there's a lot of letters that have gone out. And again, I encourage everybody to respond as promptly as possible to them.
Great. Thank you, Terry. Okay.
Neil,
Mark? Yes.
just one more thing that's a comment online is, and just for, I think for Stephanie and Jasmine's, but also for the other residents. There's once a month trash cans get cleaned on Fridays, so they have left them out over like the extra day past the garbage collection. So there's one day a month on a Friday that they get their trash cans cleaned, so they shouldn't be sent a violation for that. I think there's specific addresses that have registered for that service with the HOA, and so just want to clarify both on Stephanie's side, but if residents are getting that and it's because they've left their cans out to be cleaned, they should let Stephanie know so we can keep track of it.
Yeah, I do have a running log of that. I know that the comment here says that I have not responded, so I do apologize for that, but I am keeping a running tab of those. I'm also trying to work on some sort of communication to send out to homeowners so that they can notify our office in a correct way so that we, don't issue them a violation or something like that. So
Okay.
I'm working on it. I do have a list going though of those homes. I don't have anything that was given to me. Like I don't have a history of it. So I do encourage you, if you do get your cans cleaned once a month, just maybe reach out to us so we can add you to the list so we are aware.
Okay, thanks, Stephanie. And then I think we've got somebody just commenting on United doing a great job, so thank you for that feedback. Mark, do you want to come up and give us a golf committee update, please?
We had our last, we had a meeting last month. We've got another meeting coming Wednesday. So I think I've pretty much covered at the last board meeting.
Okay.
What we did last time. We do have some proposals in front of you.
Yep.
And basically, they've all been approved by the golf committee, and we're looking forward to getting them approved. We just finished our last major event, which was the club championship, which went off great. We had the Masters Par 3 tournament last week. Had real good turnout by all the members. Went off really good. One thing I would like to see us try to get back, and I know Derek will be working on it, is we'd like to try to get back to where people can meet and hang around the golf pro shop a little bit, like maybe extend the hours. It's just starting to be a little lighter later. And, we used to have a lot of Wednesday night. We had the Wednesday night scramble. People like to go out and they want something to eat afterwards. So I think these are some things we need to get back on the agenda.
And I think RJ, particularly on the Wednesday night, because I spoke to him about that, Mark, has got that on.
And Friday nights, it used to be a good meeting place, and we used to stay down there until 8, 9 o'clock at night. And it's just, the more things we can get to bring money into our coffers, the better. So. Huh?
I mean, when you're eating here, you're putting money back into your community instead of going down the street.
Exactly.
But people like it down there too.
Yeah, no, I mean,
they're all
in Champions Gate, I mean,
right.
In general.
What was the comment, Neil? We couldn't hear online.
It was, we want to try and keep people at the golf club eating and spending the money. So I think anything that brings more revenue in is definitely worth considering. As you say, because of the lighter evenings as well.
And I'll be here for any questions or anything on
the other
proposals.
Yep. Okay. Thank you, Mark. All right. That concludes the committee reports. Now, Stephanie, can you just go through this consent agenda item so that the board is clear on what you're proposing here? It's like a bulk approval of some work that has probably already taken place and really notifying us for us to ratify.
Correct, yeah. So items that go on the consent agenda are items for ratification, just like you said, things that we did approve already, needed to move forward with immediately. So it's just really notifying the community that the project was done and that it's really already been approved. In the future, other items that could go on the consent agenda are like simple things like adding committee members to a committee or naming a chair of a committee, things like that, just simple things. So basically, all of the items on this consent agenda can be approved with one motion. Okay. So you would just make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
That's good. So on that point, can we have a motion to approve the consent agenda with those 3 items being the villa irrigation repair, the villa irrigation enhancement proposal, and the resident express carpet cleaning, which, as we can see, has already been done.
It looks amazing, actually.
Yeah, it
It
does.
smells like, I actually walked in here and I thought we got new carpet, new furniture, so you did a good job.
Was that a motion? Oh, a motion from Marilyn. We have a second.
Second.
Any questions on that motion? If not, oh, Kathy.
Question. I just wanted to know, when will the villa irrigation be finished, do you know?
The question is, when will the irrigation be finished in the villas?
That I don't know. I'll follow up with Carlon, the irrigation manager.
Okay, Stephanie will follow up and get back to you on that. Okay, any other questions? Larry? You're going to need to come up to the mic, I'm afraid, for everybody on the phone. Sorry, Larry. Otherwise, I get shouted at.
Thank you for everything you guys are doing. I mean, the board really got better. I don't know if it was a coincidence when I left, but that's what it is. Just one question to Terry. You talked about the message boards being put out there. Are they going to be bilingual, which I think is going to be very important? And also, who's going to manage them?
Well, do we want them bilingual? I say absolutely yes. However, FSR is going to be the ones who are going to have to make sure that, you know, all the stuff is correct, all the dialect and everything. So with Spanish, and then in FSR for their roles and responsibilities, the lifestyle coordinator director is responsible for upkeeping those. So that's Nicole's job. I would assume it's every week. I mean, I know it's all it says in there is lifestyle director is responsible for upkeep of all the message boards.
Yeah, I mean, they would update it as needed, as new messages come out. Anything that needs to be posted would go out on those message boards. And taken down timely, yes.
Okay, thanks, Larry. So all those in favor of the consent agenda, those 3 items?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's approved. That takes us on to new business. So we have recommendations from First Services to send 3.
I sent an updated
I
agenda.
was going to say, I've got 3. I thought I saw outside there was a lot more on that list.
Yes, there were. I'm so sorry. I did send out I uploaded a updated
On
agenda.
ShareSync?
I believe so. Let me see. I'm sorry. I can
Because
check right now, though.
Didn't see that on ShareSync either.
Okay, my apologies. Hold, please.
For those of you who are wondering what ShareSync is our database where we keep all of our documents.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 9 accounts that are being recommended. I did not.
Can you talk us through them then?
All of them?
No, just talk us through what they are in terms of what the violation is.
Oh, sure. I have to open ShareSync. 1 moment.
Sorry?
So I uploaded them. I uploaded the actual violations in ShareSync.
Okay, well, we can't talk about addresses and specifics.
Yep, no,
You can
understood.
give us an overview so that we know what we're approving.
Yes.
And I can't load it because ShareSync isn't, the Wi-Fi is not loading my
Yes.
system.
So one violation is for the garage door being in
Wrong color. Yep.
One is for coach lights that were installed without ARC approval.
Right.
Walkway lights that were installed without ARC approval.
Okay.
We have 5 dead palm trees and a car blocking a sidewalk.
Okay.
So essentially these homeowners received a 1st, 2nd, and 3rd violation notice. So we are recommending, if you approve, that they will be going to the next hearing, which is scheduled for May 3rd.
Yep. Can I have a motion to approve that those 9 go to the Covenants Committee for May the 3rd? Can I have a second?
Second.
A second. Any questions about that? If not, can I have a vote? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Yes, sir.
Since meeting started, I've understood the various numbers that were thrown around about violations. Do do we have some sort of categorization of the types of violations and a prioritization as to the severity? There are a lot of things that go on in this community, and I've been here since 2015, not the least of which is security. Second to that is the fact that there have been reports of rodents where the genesis of their origin is in the retreat. There are all sorts of serious things that I look upon that is why I'm asking if we're now paying for someone 3 days a week to go around and find violations. It would seem to me, if I had that job, it would be self-perpetuating. I would never end finding violations. So I think it's critical that we understand the severity of the violations and also have a prescription for solving them. They can't be dealt with on a onesie basis. If you've got the number,
207 for the month of March. And those were issued by me, not because the person just started.
That's an incredible number.
So the question from the audience is there a process of prioritizing the violations through severity? So I'm going to ask Stephanie to respond to that.
So we receive violations in a number of ways. One, we do community rounds and inspections at least once a week. For those types of inspections, I mean, the majority of things that we're finding are things that you can see with your eye while driving around. So dead palm trees, trash cans being left out, landscaping that wasn't installed properly, things like that. Other ways that we receive violations are through homeowners noticing things and letting us know. Another way that we are finding violations, we have a covenants committee and we have an architectural approval committee, and they are aware of the projects that people are applying for or noticing that they completed a project without putting in an application. And the point of those, it's really not a matter of what violation is more significant than the other. It's really more about conformity and compliance throughout the community and making sure that our community looks uniform and looks nice and pleasant, and we're in an environment that you paid to live in, and which is a nice manicured landscaped clean community. And keeping up with those little things like dead landscaping and trash cans being left out and a messy driveway because you didn't pressure wash it, those are at the end of the day important things to make your community look like Champions Gate.
How do the broken bars coming down and the continuous stream of non-residents or renters coming in?
Yep, I can answer that.
Rank in terms
So,
of violations?
So unfortunate.
Is it the associates violations that they're not monitoring what they should be doing?
So unfortunately, the country club does not monitor or manage anything with the gates. That's the master's responsibility. And I know you roll your eyes. I know. But unfortunately, but I just want to say this. Let me just say one thing. Let me say one thing. So when we notice that a gate is broken or down, in the past, we've tried to go fix it. And we've been specifically told by the Master Association and by Ramco, don't touch that. Because if you touch it and try to fix it and you break it more or further, you're going to be responsible for it. And we don't want that. So
my question is not who's to fix it. My question is how it is defensible that it is a recurring violation, and how do you go about, one, stopping the recurrence of the violation, and how do you go about, two, penalizing or finding whoever does these things?
Well, I think as Stephanie mentioned, whilst we can do as much as we can in terms of reporting it to the master, it is the master's responsibility. So I'd suggest you attend the master board tomorrow and raise that question with those people who are responsible for it, which is the Master Association.
Yeah. And and they do address those things. Like anytime our homeowners have concerns over the gates or trespassers or people cutting or breaking the gates, we pass that information along to the master association, and they are the ones who have the access to the cameras. They have access to license plate numbers and all of that. We don't have access to that. So it's very difficult for us to monitor.
Do you get any feedback, even though you're not the responsible board for the violations?
We don't get feedback really from the homeowners, but we're usually.
No, from the master.
Yeah, I mean, they keep us in the loop on any communications they send out to homeowners when it's in regard to gates that are within our property. Yes.
And your statistics, do you know how many people have been found and penalized?
I don't.
Yeah. No, we don't. We don't get that information from the board. When the master board turns over to community run, then hopefully we'll have more interaction. The question is when the master is turning over, that's up to the master board to decide that. And again, another question for them tomorrow. In terms of when they plan. I keep hearing dates, but those dates move every time. They move forward. The latest date I've heard is the end of June, but they're supposed to have turned over last year and it hasn't happened. So
who's paying for this individual 3 days?
Neil, we got the 3 minutes, and we're in the middle of did we count the vote and it was confirmed? Sorry.
Yeah, we had a unanimous vote on that. Okay. It's within the budget. So to answer your question, it's within our budget for first services. So it's within the approved budget. So Derek, did you want to come up and talk about your proposal for Jolt? If you could come up so that people can hear you on the microphone. Move that over.
Wait.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to talk about Jolt software system. So that will help us in the kitchens here. Now what it is, it's multiple facets. So they have probes that go in every cooler with Bluetooth capabilities that links to our phones as leaders. So a big one is going to be protecting the assets, whether that be up to health code, state standards. If a refrigerator falls below the threshold, instead of having to waste that product, which I know we've had to do in the past, that will prevent us and enable us to react in a fast enough time to be able to save all that food. And then just want to touch with hurricanes as well, if that were to go out. So we would have live data of all temperatures of everything. Now with that as well, they also offer accountability for cleaning, just maintaining our equipment, pictures, videos, so being able to really assess right in real time if something needs corrected to not let it escalate further. Everything that the state requires is simplified. So from labels, you can set dates as a manager, so everything is accurate. Big one with the health code, they'll see consistent dates and just having that layer of trust. On-the-spot training and education, you can load checklists, MSDS, our material safety data sheet. Everything can be available digitally in real time. So to avoid any accidents, someone spills a chemical in their eye, just speeds up that reaction time for us. Did you get a chance to look through that?
I've looked through the proposal. What's confusing a little to me is there's a lot of pricing structures within here.
Yes.
And the memo that you sent through didn't go through the financials. So I don't know what you're asking for from a board perspective in terms of the financials and what benefit in terms of cost savings this could have for us. Particularly bearing in mind that we're looking at a new point of sale system. Will this be a throwaway when we get the new point of sale system, or is this in addition to the point of sale system?
This will be in addition to, so a lot of the features are not included with any POS system currently to date. As far as savings, just it's more in the protection of assets than actually saving costs off the bat.
And what is the cost of this system, implementation, annual costs? There was a number of numbers. And Alan, have you had a chance to look at this? from a treasurer's point of view?
Sorry.
Yes, I mean, I did look at the overall costs. I think it's about, there's two components. There's a hardware initial investment / installation, and then there's an annual running cost between both the plaza and the golf grill.
So I got the annual running cost at 4,709.16. Is that the right figure I'm looking at?
For two locations.
For two locations, that's
Correct.
plaza and the grill.
Correct.
So that's an annual running cost. And then a hardware and setup cost of $7,156.20. Is that the cost to set it all up?
That is correct, yes.
So that's a one-time
That
fee.
includes all sensors, hubs, that is for the whole package, yes.
Okay.
Derek, couple of questions for you. Do you know how much we threw away when the health inspector came down to the golf course?
I do not. I don't have that data, unfortunately.
Would this
That
have
was before.
would this have prevented that health inspector violation?
Yes, you get real-time notifications. I could add any manager here that would get a notification. You set your parameters. So if something falls below 41, you get notified within every half hour, and it keeps reminding you. So yes, that would have.
Sorry, Terry, you had a question?
Yeah, a couple. Excuse me. So the total is what, 7,000 and some change?
That is for the hardware, 7,156
Set everything
to
up,
set everything up, and then an annual cost of 4,700.
Okay, so please excuse me, okay? How is this saving assets when we're spending $7,000 something to check? Basically, it seems like we're paying $7,000 to check the temperatures. Like, can't we do that manually? How long does it take to see what the temperature in a cooler is?
Well, yes, and we currently do hand write, but this is more for overnight situations. You only have 4 hours in the temperature danger zone before you have to throw everything away. So if it were to happen at 12 o'clock, if someone doesn't respond by 4 a.m., everything is lost.
Okay,
And
so
is this
my question
for the
is,
new?
you're
Go
at-
ahead, Terry, and then I'll ask some more.
So if you're at home, and it goes off, who's gonna come here and fix it?
We would have a structure of whoever's closest, kind of like we do with security alarms. 1, 2, 3, a list that we would call. If Peter's closer, he would be the first call. If he doesn't respond, Chef Curtis, and then just go down a list of who could fix that.
And how many times has the coolers turned off overnight in the past 3 years, 2 years?
I have 3 maintenance calls in my 5 months here to get them serviced. Luckily, it was caught during the day and corrected. I don't have any data other than the health code situation, the grill that Marilyn brought up, where they had to throw out thousands of dollars.
And please forgive me on this. Me personally, I'm gonna need more selling on it. I just think we can use the $7,000 somewhere else in the F&B industry.
Well, we're looking at 7,000 to set it up, and then 4,800, so $400 a month. So are we throwing away $5,000 a year aside from that $7,000, initial injection?
It's like any kind of insurance policy, isn't it? That's what it comes down to. So
How do your data compare with the Oasis?
I don't have access to the Oasis Club numbers.
Isn't there some sort of a comparative analysis based on size, the units of refrigeration, where the outside refrigerator is placed, maintenance, and when you order food, doesn't someone monitor the expiration dates?
Yes, this has more to do with time temperature control.
I understand that.
Okay, I don't understand the question, I'm sorry.
The question is, what are we solving by this? As this gentleman mentioned, somebody's at home and the refrigerator goes down. They come, what do? Restart the refrigerator, or they call someone because there's a maintenance issue?
They would call maintenance, but that would enable them to be able to save all the existing product. So
How
say
would
it's
they
our
save
water,
it if the refrigeration unit went down?
because we have multiple coolers, so whether it be utilizing the tall and low boys we have here, utilizing space and grill.
So in other words, you're saying whoever would show up, would it turn into a manual process? They would have to go into the refrigerator and reposition the material, the food that's in there.
Yes.
Okay, Marilyn, you had a question?
Yeah, I mean, so Derek, I guess I have a few questions. So we don't know how much we threw away from the health inspector. We've had 2 health inspections down at the golf grill that didn't go over well. So are we on like our last lifeline, so to speak? That's a question. We have new refrigeration equipment. Has it been installed and delivered now?
Yes. To answer your first question, yes, and the freezer and cooler have been installed.
So if we did not have this, what would be our downside?
Just a higher risk of, health inspection. Yes, third strike is not good. That could lead to a minor suspension of service, or we wouldn't be able to serve food and beverage for, I believe, 10 days. And then past that, it would go further an increase in time. So during the day, currently we do handwrite and monitor that. So this is more just to cover hurricane season and overnight situations as well. And this is just talking about the sensors and probes, not the other benefits.
So what you're proposing though today is this the Cadillac version, or is it something that we could scale down to something a little bit more manageable? I mean, there was other things I read in the proposal that's, training and lists and stuff like that. To me, that's kind of people doing their job. I get the insurance part, or the temperature monitoring and the sensors and that. Is that a scaled down opportunity that we could, for half the price, have the sensors and not have the checklists and some of the other stuff?
Yes, I would need to get another quote, but here monthly, I do have that sensors. That would be $82.95 per location monthly just for sensors. So I could look at breaking that down. I only have the monthly, not an initial setup fee for just sensors.
Are there other providers besides Jolt there?
Not that I've been aware of. This is kind of up and coming in the industry. I've used it at Legoland. Peter used it at Island H2O. And I do have a list here somewhere of other locations, big names that use it.
I think maybe, Derek, if you could go away to Marilyn's point and come back with the alternative in terms of just having the sensors in there. And also provide us with what is our financial risk associated with the amount of stock you have. If one of the freezers goes down, what potentially would be our loss? And is any of that covered under our insurance policies that we already have in place? So are we double insuring ourselves by putting this in place when we pay a lot of money for our insurance cover? I know there'll be a deductible on the insurance cover, but what is that in terms of what we could potentially claim under our insurance policies?
I don't remember, did we lose much during the hurricane? Because I think we were down about 20 hours.
Yeah. I know they threw stuff. I know they did throw stuff away, but I don't know how much. I don't think they got a valuation for it.
FSR here.
Well, the health inspector came twice, and I thought we got rid of stuff both times that the health inspector was there. So
yeah, but that was aside from.
I get the sensitivity.
I'll get more data on average how much inventory I keep per cooler, and
I think that would help. Derek, every time we get
we're not Legoland, and we're not a big place. So the question I have is we're not a big operation. So does the size justify this expense? And I'm not sure I'm there yet.
Derek, how many deliveries are you getting a week at each location for food?
Averaging 3 per week.
Friday, something like that. Tuesday.
Targeting 2, but we average 3.
Okay.
Per location.
Okay.
Yeah, Larry, can you come up to the microphone,
Well, I want to
please?
shed some light on Maryland's concern. If we're talking about the health inspections we had over the last couple of years at the golf club, we all know that when we took over these facilities, we got some very substandard minimal equipment, right? And I will tell you, it's very commendable the way these guys handle the type of business we're running with what they have. Now, to your question about the golf club, they had these very small pull-out refrigerators. I can't imagine losing more than $100 worth of food when they threw it out, maybe 200 on the high end. I really don't see that that would have been, I mean, again, anything you throw away is bad.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was a huge loss as far as monetarily on that.
Okay.
So the one thing I would suggest, though, I know we talked about the possibility of going on the outside and maybe getting something newer, state-of-the-art, walk-in or something like that. How would that affect it opposed to what we're doing here, more of preventive maintenance, like Band-Aids, all this sort of thing, where perhaps this new equipment has this stuff built in? I know it's going to cost more, but if we extrapolate it over several years, maybe it makes sense. Just something to think about.
Walk-in would hold temperature longer, so that would give us a little bit more of a buffer, but they still have the ability to go down just like any other piece of equipment. As far as golf, I was under the impression it was the tall boys, which are about 3 of those.
Well, the first time it was the small one that had burgers on there.
I'll work on gathering that data and see if I can't talk to someone.
Okay. Yeah, if you could bring that back, Derek, and then we can reconsider it. Okay.
All good.
Thank you. So we'll put that one on pause. Hi, Kathy.
Can you have like sensors that you can buy from Amazon to put in these and maybe next to your phone?
That would be a question for Derek.
Am I still to answer, or we?
No, I think explore other opportunities as well.
Program combines everything into one platform as opposed to having to monitor individual ones. I'm not aware of any programs that combine all that data together.
Okay. All right. Sure. Okay. Moving on to the new business C, proposal for Rose Garden and Hall 16 enhancement. Okay, Mark, are you going to present on this one?
Okay. The Rose Gardens first?
Yep.
Okay. Rose Garden that we're proposing is the little triangular place where you either go to hole 1, you go to hole 10 by the putting green. We're looking at making that into a memorial garden. Ron, do you want to say anything on this, or am I all right? Okay, and basically, there's like 40 rose bushes, 60 red zoras, 60 pink dwarf roses. We're going to move the flagpole from where it's located now in front of the pro shop to that triangular area. And we're also going to put in some pavers going up, leading up to the flagpole, around the flagpole. And it's something if you want to buy a brick for a mother, father, daughter, you can buy a brick and put it in there. It's going to kind of be our memorial garden. And that, there will be no HOA money coming out to pay for any of these projects. I want everybody to know that. They're all being paid for by golf outings that Larry and Terry Green and Darren have put together.
Private donations.
And private donations. So.
Say, Mark.
Who's that?
Hey, this is Darren. Hi. Just one quick
Hi,
comment.
Darren.
Actually, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, the flagpole that will be there is actually going to be a new one. We won't move the existing flagpole. This will be a new one. The existing flagpole will have a Champions Gate Country Club flag on it, and this will be a new, larger flagpole in the Memorial Garden.
Okay.
So this, just a question on the funding of the Rose Garden and the flagpole there. This is going to be funded from donations and money raised from the Memorial Day event?
Yes,
This money has already been raised. This is from the Denny's Grand Slam Scramble in February.
Okay, so this is already in the beautification account for this.
It's already there.
It's already there. Okay, thank you, Darren.
Yes.
So as you say, no cost to the association. The
Yeah.
funds are already there in the bank
Right.
account.
It's just a slight deficit for everything, for the enhancements to 16, the bougainvilleas, as well as the rose garden and the flagpole. There's a slight deficit that would come out of the memorial funding at the end
Actually,
of May.
yeah, actually, Marilyn, you're right. There's a $3,700 deficit
Right.
when everything is added in. But further on down, we want another fundraiser that we're going to get approved.
We've already collected that deficit already. We
Right.
haven't.
Okay, thank you, Larry.
We've already secured $10,000 worth of donations for the Memorial Day, which will cover the total expense.
Okay. Do we want to approve all of this in one motion? Yeah, so can you go on to hole 16 then, Mark?
Okay, hole 16 it's already been approved, but there was some change, and they added a couple other flowering trees. And that money has already been raised and in the account.
Okay.
So we just thought we'd bring it because they added 3 flowering trees. And then the last, or
Can we approve those two? And then I know you're going to get onto the clock, are you?
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Do we want to approve those two?
So moved.
Motion to approve the changes to hole 16, beautification, and a motion to approve the creation of a rose garden funded by donations and money raised under the beautification program.
So moved.
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay, any questions on that?
Just a comment on the flagpole is one of the things with the flagpole we cannot do anything half staff with the American flag. So if we wanted to, we have a Champions Gate flag. We can put it at half staff if there's some kind of memorial or event that we want to communicate to the community. And that's why I think the Champions Gate flag will be, important for it to fly there, but also just to, in the memorial garden, it'd be a good thing to have.
Okay.
I do have one more quick question.
Hey, Darren, are we still putting a memorial, like a granite memorial for the armed forces on there at the bottom of the flagpole?
That's the plan. Yeah, it'd be
Okay.
like a granite memorial at the bottom. That's
Yeah.
the plan as part of the legacy bricks. In addition to
Okay.
yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay.
So then we just need to vote on that. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous? Sorry, Mark, I just wanted to get that one out of the way and then you can focus on your proposed event logistics. So is that what you're going to go to next?
yeah, Larry, do you want to talk about the Memorial Day? I mean, it's,
We're going to have an additional event coming up, similar to the one we had last year on Memorial Day. We're opening it up to the community, obviously, and guests are welcome. This year, there's a cost to it. If you have a golf cart and you live in the community, your price will be $50. If you don't have a golf cart, you'll have to pay for the cart fee. So, and if you're outside the community, there's a discounted guest fee. So, but we're hoping that we're going to get enough people that actually live here that want to participate in that. This year's event also includes food. We're going to try to make it so it's very easy for everybody to get fed after golf. And I wasn't there last year because of unfortunate things with my family, but I heard that the event came off really fast, 4.5 hours, 5 hours, which was incredible. That's quicker than the men's play most of the time. Not just kidding. Anyway, so it's going to be a fun event. You're going to see some flyer information come out hopefully in the next 2 weeks. And, we've worked, just so you know, it takes about 3 or 4 months to put these events together, and we love doing it. So, and we appreciate everybody coming. So it's a really cool thing, and hopefully everybody will come out and enjoy it.
Okay. Thanks, Larry.
And just to kind of, Darren put together a little financial guesswork on it, and it looks like it could bring in approximately $33,000.
Right.
And what we've, one project that we have put forward is in the middle of the putting green. I don't know if anybody ever notices, there's always a brown circle in the middle of it. Well, there's already power and piping there, which there was supposed to be something built there with lights and stuff on it. Never got done. So we've got that there. So what we've done is we've went out and if anybody's seen these tower clocks like you see it at the country clubs, we got a price on that, which has built-in speakers, which whenever we have an outing, we're always hand carrying speakers down there and microphones to where this would all be built into that. It will have the Champions Gate Country Club logo on it. It's aluminum, and that's about a $19,000 item installed. So, and this would easily take care of that.
In terms of the Memorial Day event, the funds you'll raise from that would
take care of the deficit from
the previous approval,
right?
The 3,700
and take care of this.
And take care of this.
Where's that at?
It's on the putting green down at in front of the pro shop.
Oh,
by the practice facility.
So I guess my only question around like the Memorial Day event, and maybe this is for Darren, because Darren, I mean, I can see from your financials raising 33,000, but there is a cost to the association of hosting that event in terms of staffing and use of the facility. So I'd like to see a profit and loss for these events. I'm sure Alan would as the treasurer, so that we can make sure that, we are covering those costs as well as covering the costs of putting, all the beautification in place and the costs of the clock, etc. So I think we need to not just have a revenue number, we need to also know what the expenses are for having these events as well. Is that fair?
Sure. Yeah, and in that proposal is I had a couple of questions about how you want to handle those expenditures too. Like we've got some signs, some costs associated with signs, and how do we want those? Does the board want to pay for those out of HOA? In other words, does the board want to sign approve any of those before they're purchased, or can we purchase them and submit a receipt for reimbursement out of these funds? How does the board want to handle that? And in terms of, I guess, costs associated with like staffing these events and so forth. I mean, we work with RJ and he meets with us as well to make sure that staffing is available for it. So yes, there is a cost associated with staffing, and if we, certainly we can come up with a what it's going to cost or a projection for the staff. But the staff is going to be there. It is revenue. I guess that the course will make revenue in the afternoon, but there is a certain number of hours that the course wouldn't be making possibly public play revenue. But if the club is going to staff that, even if it's member play, right? So if we don't have the tournament, there's going to be member play, and that staff is going to be working to service that member play, which is a zero revenue event. So
I get that, Darren.
Sure yeah.
I'm just thinking, because it is such a major event, and I was here last year and there was a lot more staffing levels required to cover it. And it's also Derek as well, from a food and beverage perspective, needs to make sure that, if he has to add additional servers, additional chefs, etc., to cover the increased number of people, then we need to just make sure that we're covering those costs.
Okay.
Neil, if I may.
Yeah, and we meet with Derek. He meets with us as well. So, okay, we can take a look at what, certainly we can go back and take a look at what possibly additional staffing may be necessary over and above what would be otherwise.
Okay, thanks,
If
Darren.
any,
Larry.
I'm not sure if there would be any, but we can certainly try to take a look at that.
Larry?
Well, and I think this is a great event, and it was a huge success last year. I think, before we buy the clock, let's just make sure all the expenses are in and we've got a good handle on what the results of the event were, and we move forward from there. But I think it's a great event. It's a good participation from the community, and so it's for a good cause, in my opinion.
Well, we do have in your logistics here,
You're also charged the $25.
it's $25,
Yeah,
which
true.
basically goes straight to the club.
Yeah.
And if you look at
Very
any
good
Sunday
point.
or holiday, it's member times until 11 o'clock. And basically the club is gonna get cart fees, and they're getting paid for the food. So, and any other Sunday morning, it would be whatever food's bought. So with this, they're gonna get guaranteed $25 per ad for food.
And don't forget, the most important component of a Champions Gate Golf is the beverage revenue, if I will. And I'm sure that's going to be very strong.
No, I don't disagree, Larry. It's just, if a proposal comes to the board for paying,
Right.
we should see what the potential expenses are as well.
And one of the things I think, like I said, we've been communicating with Derek and RJ, and I can share some more information with you whenever you want to talk about it. But I think it's very more than fair what they're charging us, or in the community, not us, but the community, to cover the costs. And I hope he took that into consideration. So.
Okay.
And as you can see, we've got plenty of room in there to pay for some expenses.
So we're being asked, Darren, to whether you want the board to approve the payment of for the rental of the table and chairs, but that will be then reimbursed out of the funds that are raised this event.
Correct.
Okay.
I have a couple comments.
Yep.
I think first of all, thank you to Larry, Terry, Mark, everybody that's doing this, because I think we're losing sight of the fact also that while we all put money into this to help it, we're also looking at a value increase in all of our properties and our golf club combined. Now, not everybody's going to come out and golf, we know that, but that's just the way it is. But every time we do one of these events and we raise money and put more trees in or more this or more that in, the value of our homes and our community go up, every time. So, I think I agree with Neil. I'd like to see the expense side too, but, I think it's just more for a, dot your I's, cross your T's type of thing instead of, we have a couple $1,000s that we have to incur for chair rental and labor. I think that's nothing compared to, if we look 10 years down the road, what's the value of our homes because we've done all the events.
We have a fiduciary responsibility as a board to make sure.
I think Aaron's whole point was not whether the club was going to pay, whether the HOA was going to pay for that stuff, but it was how it was going to get paid, because all of those costs are coming out of this fundraiser before any money's spent for anything else. It's just whether or not we pay, we have the fundraiser, we contract the extra stuff. Do we write the check, or do we funnel or do we give you the bill and then First Service writes the check?
I think
that was the question.
I think the latter there, Mark, I put pure transparency. It should all go through First Services because they're managing the bank accounts, they're managing the purse strings, so it should all go through. so that we have proper accounting.
And they
for
could
it.
probably set up a job to where all the expenses and everything comes against it. And then
It all
we
goes
would
through
have-
the event number. It should all go through the
Yeah,
event
right.
number.
Okay.
Alan, you have anything to add in terms of treasurer?
I know, I was just going to reiterate what Neil said. It should all go through the HOA.
Okay, so can we have a motion to approve that this proposed event on Monday, May 29th, the board is, that all of the expenses and bills should come through First Services, through the proper channels, and then it will all be self-funding from the funds raised on this event. Second, any questions? Otherwise, all those
For
in,
me, it's subject to just the final accounting before they go by the clock.
yeah, okay. Well, if they don't have any money in the
We don't have any
beautification
money, we
account,
can't
you
buy the
can't buy the
clock.
clock. But yeah,
Right.
I see what you're saying.
Buy a watch.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous, you got it.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone, for putting that proposal together.
That includes the clock. Yeah, that includes the
you.
clock. There is power there.
It's not so.
It's where the brown patch is in that, on the putting green, there's actually power underneath there.
But that is generating, of course, the electrical.
True. The next agenda item was wax ring replacement in the Plaza restroom. Now, we had some conversations, Terry and Mark, earlier prior to the board meeting. We'd like to pen this one because, Mark, you think there may be a different solution or something we should try.
Well, I own a plumbing contracting company. We specialize in service up in the Midwest. We run into sewer gas issues all the time. Very few times is it the wax rings on toilets. That's kind of a last. The toilets aren't leaking, and I checked them, and they are sealed around the bottom of them. But what I saw more is that, and I got with Michael to do once a week, take a Clorox water solution and pour it down every floor drain. Because I checked 2 or 3 floor drains, there wasn't any water in them, which is a direct line to the sewer. You have to have water in all of your P-traps. And there's a lot of drains here that never get used. So when they dry up, you're gonna get sewer gas. I would just suggest doing this regimen for 30 days, find out if that takes care of the problem. Also, I went up into the attic and there's a few questionable pipes up there that doesn't look like they were glued very well, but I would say let's try the water first and see that. And then there's also a test that a plumber can do, is they can do a smoke test and they put a smoke bomb in the piping and then you can see where the smoke comes out, where your problem is. Just replacing the seals on the toilets could work, might not work. We haven't seen it work that often. So,
Okay.
just
So
my
if we can pen that one and maybe see what Michael achieves in the next 30 days, and we can take it back up again at the next board meeting. Okay, well, that concludes all of the agenda items that we as a board and First Services had on tonight's meeting, but I will open it up for any questions that may come out of the members attending, residents attending.
I live on the 10th barrel.
Right.
We can see those, whatever they were originally called carriage homes. Now they're called condos.
Oh, yes, please, yeah.
At least one of them has no vent pipe directly across from the roof. That was pointed out to Lenore 3 or 4 years ago. They came and they put one up there. And it fell off the roof 2 weeks later. It was a sham. So there are a lot of construction issues that you obviously have been doing a great job trying to find them. But they're monstrous. One thing came to my notice about a year and a half ago. I had a roof problem. I won't get into how it was solved, But ultimately, I was told by two of the largest uh, people who handle insurance claims that there is a thing in Florida called latches. I am not an expert on this. And that while your home ownership is covered for, say, a year or however the building, there is a thing called latches, defects in workmanship that were not corrected, and the builder has to comply with correcting them up to 10 years. And I understand that whoever the woman is who deals with this, the comptroller or somebody with Lennar, in the past, when individual claims have been brought to their attention and gotten to her level, they were solved. They sent out somebody to fix it. We know 3 years after we bought our house, we noticed tiles and certain things were wrong. We called Lennar in and mentioned it. We went away on a vacation, came back, and everything was fixed. When I had this current problem and I called the company who provided the roofing, there were another one who said, contact Lennar because in the past, they came and paid $3,500 and fixed your roof. Which we did. Well, I don't know if this thing latches, if in fact that is the correct term, applies.
Okay, we could certainly ask the attorney, but the attorney, as far as they're concerned, the process is we are only responsible for common land, so country club land. Each individual homeowner is responsible for their own home.
I realize that.
And what we've done is we had an engineering study to examine and give us a report on that common land, which is now with the attorney to submit the 558 notice on construction defects to Lennar to get them, and they do have a statute of limitations against that. So that's why we need to get that in sooner rather than later. And that covers not just what the engineering study did, but also the facilities committee over the last 12 months has put together a document with photographic evidence of construction defects as well within the community that is attached to that. So all of that is going from our attorney to Lennar's attorney for their comments. So that's in place. If it's individual homeowners, roofing or issues with their own construction, unfortunately, that is up to that homeowner to take up that with Lennar directly.
But claims in aggregation can be presented for class change.
They are class actions, and that's something, again, which the homeowners would have to get together and do. That's not something that this board or the HOA association has responsibility for. Okay. Any other questions?
Neil,
Anything online, Marilyn?
There's nothing online, but Loretta Williams has her hand up, so I don't know, and her mic on, so I don't know if she has a question or a comment.
Maybe I have a comment. We're talking about things that people are being cited for. And I know before the house was 3 years old, I was coming in and that palm tree was already dead. And I see that we're citing people for having dead palm trees. But somewhere along the line, you replaced the palm trees in the golf course, you replaced trees here. But we as homeowners are responsible for our own palm trees. But the whole problem is that at some point in time, someone with Lennar, someone knew that these palm trees that they bought 2,000 or 3,000 of were faulty. They are sick. And I can ride around in the neighborhood and see everyone whose palm trees are dying. And then it's on us to pay to get the trees down. It's a shame that your house isn't 5 years old or a good 4 years old and the trees are already half dead or all dead.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree, Loretta. Unfortunately, homeowners have their own responsibility for the plants and the palms on their property. We, as an association, can look at where they are on common land, and we have done that over at the North Pool, where there were palms that died off in the North Pool, and we've had those replaced. Again, that is included in our 558 notice because that was a significant cost to the association.
I talked to United Landscape because they're going to replace my tree. They're actually out of trees and they're out of sod because they're replacing my sod. They came and took my sod out, but I just want to let you guys know that they said they were out of sod and out of palm trees.
In terms of they haven't got the supplies? Really? Okay. This might be something to ask United, Stephanie, if they're having challenges getting supplies. Okay. Any other questions online, Marilyn?
Not that I see, thanks.
Okay. Sorry? Any other questions in the room?
Okay. Just a comment. I just want to say the Plaza food has been fantastic. And I think these guys deserve a pat on the back for that.
Well, Derek is the man responsible for the improvements there. Thank you, Derek. I have to say on social media, I would say that, whereas 6 months ago there was a lot of noise on social media about the Plaza food, you're not seeing anything now, so that's got to be a good sign.
Some call it the best pizza in Champions Gate.
So I'm going to have a motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:32. Second?
Second.
All those in favour?
Aye.
Unanimous. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.